Good day, everyone. My topic is on basic education and laying foundations for lifelong learning. This is Dr. Helen B. Bolana of Cebu Normal University. So when we speak of basic education, why it is important? When we speak about learning, why are we going to learn? So learning how to learn. How are we going to have this? What is learning? So learn as a verb is to acquire knowledge or skill or to become informed. So teachers in basic education has to learn. And why? You're already teachers. Every day we learn. As a child, you learned. Your children, your pupils are learning every day. In college, you learned. And of course, as you grow older, you'll still learn. Yet, you never stop learning. You continue your dreams, you pursue your college, you pursue your master's degree, you pursue your doctorate degree, or even attended trainings, like our training today. To learn how to learn is essential. Learning is not a luxury. So like a diamond, like your asset in the bank or even at home. It is an absolutely basic necessity. We need this. We need to learn so that we can share. We need to learn so that you will be able to share your expertise as a teacher. To stay in shape, you need to learn. Like, why is it that there's a need for us to do exercise every day? Not only to be physically fit, but also to be mentally healthy, to be emotionally fit. To stand legs up, you need to learn, you need to practice. I think you've experienced this in your PE classes. To stay healthy, like this time of pandemic, we need to learn. We need to eat the right food. We need to eat the right amount of food, and we need to drink medicines if needed, and we need to drink vitamins. To stay informed, what's happening in the world, what's happening in your surroundings, you need to learn. To stay or to get out of the box, thinking out of the box, you need to learn. So in your classroom, we want our children to learn beyond the four walls of the classroom. Especially this time of pandemic, how will you teach your children learn? To make them listen, you need to learn. To take the lead, like teachers are taking the lead in teaching and learning beyond the classroom activity, we need to learn. At work, of course, to work, to play, to grow, we need to learn. So can you imagine our activities every day, that there is a need to learn? We learn in class. If you look at in the picture, how wonderful, how good is the classroom. But how about this time of pandemic? How will you let your children learn? And of course, how will you learn? Although we never learned how to listen, beyond recognizing sounds, words, and sentences, we learn from life. As you grow every day, you learn from the experiences that you had every day, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's beautiful or not, you are learning. According to Alvin Toffler in The Future Shop, tomorrow's illiterate will not be those man who cannot read. He will be the man who has not learned how to learn. So it's amazing. So according to Dr. Antonio Ferrer, educating for sustainable development, what is the implications to teaching in the K-12 levels, which is our focus in this training? So education, according to Educating for a Sustainable Future, a UNESCO's report in 1997, is a humanity's best hope and most effective means in the quest to achieve sustainable development. Of course, in this report, in 2004 to 2005 to 2014, in the Johannesburg World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002, and the United Nations Decade for Education for Sustainable Development, it is said that our societies urgently require new kinds of education. So it's time for us to reflect as teacher in basic education, or even teacher in tertiary level, that can help prevent further degradation of our planet, and that foster caring and responsible citizens, genuinely concerned with and capable of contributing to a just and peaceful world. These new kinds of education must be available to all, not only a handful of people, and take place in various settings, including families and communities. They must begin in early childhood. So as a teacher in basic education, especially in kindergarten to grade 3, we need to start this so that as they grow older, they can easily adapt. Of course, it will start with them, as the values, attitudes, behaviors, and skills acquired in this period may have a long-lasting impact in their life. This is according to Sustainable Development and Preschool Education in 2008 report of UNESCO. Why? Why spend on early childhood education? Is education a good thing? The volume of education has increased and continues to increase, yet so do pollution, exhaustion of the resources, and the dangers of the ecological catastrophe. If still more education is to save us, it would have to be education of a different kind, an education that takes us into the depth of things. That's according to Skokmatcher in 1997. Why is it that we need to focus to early childhood education? As young as they are, it is because it is morally right. According to Matthew chapter 18, verses 12 to 14, why do you think if a man has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? Bakit kinakailangan nating hanapin yung isa? And if he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that never went astray. So it is not the will of my Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. Have you noticed it? Can you imagine? Have you reflected? So there's a need for us to reflect that it's very important to start at the very young age of our children. Another reason, because it is politically correct. Stewardship principle and intergenerational responsibility to promote the rights of the children to survival, development, and special protection with full recognition of the nature of the childhood and as well as the need to provide developmentally appropriate experiences to address their needs and to support parents, their roles as primary caregivers and as their children's first teachers. So the parent also has responsibility because they are the first teachers of these children. And these children are our hope for the future. Another reason, because it is significantly right. Present equipment and technological advances have allowed scientists to see that brain is working. What scientists have found is that the brain continues to form after first based on experiences. So what are the experiences is very important. An infant's mind is primed for learning, but it needs early experiences to wire the neutral circuits of the brain that facilitate learning. If you look at this figure, this illustrates how children learn at a very young age until he grows older. Another reason is because it is good economics. According to Art Lornek and Rob Grunwald in 2003, every childhood development programs are rarely portrayed as economic development initiatives, and we think that it is a mistake. Such programs, if they appear at all, are at the bottom of the economic development list for state and local governments. They should be at the top. Most of the numerous projects and initiatives that states the local governments fund in the name of creating new private businesses and new jobs results in few public benefits. In contrast, studies, of course, from different authors found out that well-focused investment in early childhood development yield high public as well as private returns. So who will be nurturing our children is the teacher. The teacher's great role, especially in starting to teach them education for sustainable development in early childhood. So when we speak of that, what is an effective learning? How these children learn? How do we learn? So effective learning is essential. Take note, we learn from training. We learn from experiences. Our children also learn from experience. We learn because we have the ability. Of course, as you grow, you learn. You learn every day. Advanced training, knowledge, learning, and competence. These comprise an effective learning. What's the key to effective learning? First thing is, according to research, it suggests a rather leader-like answer. It's not just what you know, it's what you know about what you know. Anytime a student learns, he or she has to bring in two kinds of prior knowledge. Knowledge about the subject at hand, for example, English, Filipino, math, science, and knowledge about how learning works. We're comfortable talking about concrete information names, dates, number, facts. But the guidance we offer on the act of learning itself, the metacognitive learning how to learn, thinking about thinking. Aspects of learning is more hit or miss. I'll take it. Teaching students how to learn is as important as teaching them content, because acquiring both the right learning strategies and background knowledge is important, if not essential, for promoting lifelong learning. So students can access their own awareness in which of the following learning strategies regularly used in the classroom, even outside the classroom, especially this time of pandemic. Examples. I draw pictures or diagrams to help me understand this subject. Our children sometimes are doing this. So they are doing some schematic diagram. I make up questions that I try to answer about the subject. When I was in college, I do like this. I make my own questions. When I am learning something new in this subject, I think of what I already know about it. Okay, later on in the succeeding days, you will learn how to do this and how to teach this to our children. I discuss what I am doing with others. I practice things over and over until I know them well. I make a note of things that I don't understand very well in this subject so that I can follow up them. See? Okay, that's going to life learning. So a lifelong learning, it's a step-by-step process. Like you learn in your preschool, in your elementary years, in your high school, in your college, and even adulthood. You celebrated your birthday, but every day you learn. I think you have a lot of analysis and you have a lot of reflections this time of pandemic. How did you learn as a teacher? How will you teach your children to learn? So every child matters. Every child is special. Every child matters. Stay safe based on sustainable development, education for sustainable development, safe from maltreatment, neglect, violence, sexual exploitation, safe from accidental injury, have a security, stability, meaning they're cared of even this time of pandemic. They're cared of in the classroom, even outside. Safe from crime and antisocial behavior, like social networking bullying. Safe from bullying and discrimination. Be healthy emotionally, physically, mentally. Choose not to take illegal drugs, healthy lifestyle, eating food, fruits, exercises, etc. Sexually healthy. Enjoy and achieve. Achieve personal and social development. Enjoy recreation. Ready for school. Attend and enjoy school. So learning must be fun and enjoyable for children. Achieve stretching and national educational standards at primary school. Achieve stretching national educational standards at secondary schools, because this is the foundation of life. Achieving economic well-being. Engage in further education, employment, and training on leaving schools. Ready for employment. Live in households free from low income. Sorry for that, because this is part of this project. You can have this Full reading of this project on Every Child Matters, Teenagers, Spider. Access to transport and material goods. Engage in live in decent home and sustainable communities. And of course, make a positive contribution. As a teacher, we see to it that our children can contribute to the community. Engage in decision making and support the community environment. Engage in law-abiding and positive behavior in and out of school. Develop positive relationship and choose not to bully and discriminate. Develop self-confidence and successfully deal with significant life changes and challenges. And of course, develop enterprising behavior. So significant learning. Learning that will be significant to the learner. According to Fink in 2003, here is the taxonomy of significant learning. So we have foundational knowledge, understanding and remembering information and ideas. Application, skills, thinking, critical, creative, and practical thinking, managing projects. You'll be experiencing this activity to engage learners, to teach them how to learn in the succeeding days. Integration, connect ideas, people, realms of life. Human dimensions, learning about oneself, learning about others, caring, developing new feelings, interests, and values. And of course, learning how to learn, becoming a better student, a better child, inquiring about the subject, self-directing learners. So this is very essential. So this significant learning was made more meaningful in this schematic diagram. So if you look at this, when you connect all this, we will feel that there is significance in learning. So again, go back. What is lifelong learning? Lifelong learning may be broadly defined as learning that is pursued throughout life. Learning that is flexible, like in the delivery of instruction this time. Flexible. We have online, synchronous or asynchronous, or we have the modular distance learning. Diverse and available at different times and at different places. Lifelong learning crosses sectors, promoting learning beyond traditional schooling and throughout adult life. Sometimes in other countries, they call it post-compulsory education. Lifelong education is also essential. What is this? It is life. Life is development, and that developing and growing is life. Translated into its educational equivalents, it means that the educational process has no end beyond itself. It is own end. So lifelong learning is very important. Why education a lifelong learning or a lifelong process? Learning is education. Learning is natural and continuous process of the brain, actively or passively. So for the lifetime, the brain keeps on learning. When the brain stops functioning, that's brain death. The process of learning or education stops. So when you're alive, you never stop learning. So here are the 4 pillars of education for the future. I think you're very familiar with this. Learning to know. Mastering learning tools rather than acquisition of structured knowledge. Learn to do, equipping people for the types of work needed now and in the future, including innovations and adaptations of learning to future work environment. So this is very important because what are the essential things when you were still young are not anymore essential this time. So at this time, we need to equip our children with the type of work needed now and in the future. Learn to live and with others. Learn to live together and with others, peacefully discovering other people, their cultures, individual competence and capacity, and social inclusion. Learning to be. Education contributing to a person's complete development, mind and body, intelligence, sensitivity, and spirituality. So, how are we going to become a lifelong learners? Take note. We need to give up. We persevere. We persevere. Sorry for that. We always want to learn more. We question. So pag may nagtanong, they wanted to learn more. So meaning, what will you do as a teacher? Answer the questions honestly. We decide what we need to learn and how we'll learn it. We set goals and plan. So in this flexible learning delivery, this is essential because even assessment, student has to decide which assessment is better. That's why we have flexible assessment. We are always looking for ways to connect new learning with what we already learned, make connections. We take responsibility for our learning. They're self-motivated. We think about our learning. We reflect. We give things a go. We take risk. So risk taker is a lifelong learner. We think a lifelong learning as an ongoing process, excuse me, not a static one. So a lifelong learning is an ongoing process. It's a cycle. Knowing the learner, self-awareness. As a teacher, you should know your learner. As the learner, you should know yourself. Planning for learning, self-management. Understanding how to learn, meta-learning. Evaluating learning, self-monitoring. So it is an ongoing process. So timing is everything. If you look at the stages of brain development of an infant, we need to remember the age level of our learners. So from 0, we have to almost a year, vision development. Speech development in 3 years. Emotion development at the age of 2. Math logical. Take note that at the age of 2.5, children started mathematical, logical thinking. Social attachment and skills, motor development up to 5 years, and even until now, no, sometimes we do this. Peer social skills, socialization from age 3 to 6, and so on. Then language development from 0 to 4 years old. So this is the graph developed by the Council of Early Childhood Development. So in 1997, and then based on the study in 1999 and year 2000, sensitive periods in early brain development. So what's our role as teacher? So we know that these are very important. So we need to give them the right thing, the right way of learning at the right age. So language is a form of stimulation, has been scientifically proven to make a difference. Infants and children who engage in various forms of verbal interaction show more advanced linguistic than children who have not. It is never too early to introduce a child to books. Nurturing the emergent literacy of the child from infancy through preschool is extremely important. Thus, we need them to introduce how to read books at an early age, so they will become a wide reader in the future. So the key in engagement or interaction, neutral connections we end up as an adult are those that were not subjected. Number of synapses in several areas of the primate cortex rises and then falls during the first years of life. Largest number of synapses is at around 24 months of age. So at a young age, we need to develop them to learn. Crucial to begin as young as possible because the more synapses your child uses, the less they will lose. Question, use it or lose it? So meaning, walang bubong bata, at the very young age, there's a need for us to help them. So these are myth and fact on nature and nurture. The brain's development depends entirely on the genes with which you are born. It's a myth. Fact, early experience and interaction with the environment are most critical in the child's brain development. Another myth and fact, a toddler's brain is less active than the brain of the college student. That's a myth. Because if you look at, pareho lang yan. No? A 3-year-old toddler's brain is twice as active as an adult brain. Have you noticed? If you have children, I think you have noticed that child always asks, palagi silang nagtatanong, ano to, bakit ganito? And have you experienced? Sometimes you're tired of answering this. So, it is true that a 3-year-old toddler's brain is twice as active as an adult's brain. So according to Ms. Jonabel May Ibona of M.L. Pineda Elementary School, South Butuan District 2, here are our key roles of the teachers or our key roles, sorry for that, in the new normal education. So we have a responsibility. Here is your role as a teacher. Teachers cultivate students' motivation. True, diba? Teachers play as a team player. Teachers act as an innovator. So pag sinabi natin, teachers play as a team player, what does it mean? Teachers of these trying times work closely with their professional learning community. And I think you have PLC now in your different schools and perform as volunteers to fight against the spread of the COVID-19 virus, especially with the new Delta variant, which mainly caused the shift of the current educational system. Instead of thinking for a teacher-driven discussion, with lengthy lectures, these will be no longer available at the moment. Rather, online, self-learning modules, or other blended learning modality will be highlighted. With the cooperation and concerted effort of other stakeholders, the parents, the community, and others, teachers innovated and created self-learning modules or even online lessons to cope up with this time of pandemic. Some resources for our children would be available anytime and anywhere. So pag sinabi natin teachers cultivate students' motivation, how will you motivate your children to learn? especially this time of pandemic. Since no one is exempted from this pandemic, you and me, our students, may feel bored and skeptical of this new normal activity. Teachers' role is to motivate the children who are not learning well. You should not underestimate them, and you should train them, organize things, and make some changes. Even with this virtual reality where we cannot meet them face to face. So we need to do this. We need to motivate our children to learn. This is one thing where teachers will be able to use technology to connect, like Facebook or any other application. It's not there's no exact, there's no specific tool for learning this time. There's need for us to connect with our children with and work with our students, with our children, while motivating them to do so in another matter. With the advances of learning technology during this COVID-19 pandemic, teachers and students are fully prepared to continue the learning journey at home. Teachers act as innovator of change. I think you've experienced that you have innovated a lot in order for the children to learn this time. As the teachers, parents, and students or children are facing a very different context now in terms of educational standards, this COVID-19 pandemic has forced education innovation into the heart of almost every school or education system around the globe. To answer these, teachers are no longer have the focus on to link on innovations, or maybe they're thinking of something new to be the frontier at the heart of the education system this time. We need also to do some changes in our delivery in order to address diversity. Of course, support source, innovate that will provide all learners the necessary skills to create a better future for themselves and of course for the community. So, as the teachers, we need to be an innovator. We need to be innovative. I like the research of Miss Ebona. That's very interesting. So it's a challenge for us teachers to do also something that is for us. Okay, sorry. So with a continuous improvement in school in the COVID-19 context, continuous improvement is a discipline and ongoing approach to improving process and systems that produce positive outcomes for the children. It provides a structure for educators like you and me to identify problems, design interventions specific to those problems, test interventions in context, and evaluate effectiveness before scaling up the intervention. So this is very essential. This is very important to remember. The VOCA. Volatile. The environment demands you to react quickly on ongoing changes that are unpredictable and out of your control. So we are doing this. We reacted on this. Uncertain. The environment requires you to take action without uncertainty. Captures the context to which environment is understood and the confidence with which the future can be productive. While we know some facts about transmission of this virus and guidelines for physical safety for us and for the children are beginning to emerge, little can be confidently predicted about how the school year will unfold, and what the consequences of particular decisions will be. Complex. The environment is dynamic with many interdependence. Complexity describes the number of factors that must be taken into account, their variety, their relationships among them. The greater the number of factors, the more various they are, the more intricate their interconnections, the more complex the environment. I think you will agree with that. Operating a school was already complex under typical circumstances, but yet, congratulations, teachers, you made it. And now schools opening under pandemic conditions face a constellation of new factors related to prioritizing public health, meeting a variety of needs to protect students and staff, teachers' safety, and balancing the demand of schools to function as childcare to allow parents to fully re-enter the workplace. Ambiguous. The environment is unfamiliar, outside of your expertise. We have not practiced online learning before, pure online. We have practiced blended learning, but pure online, pure modular, it's new to us. Ambiguity characterizes a situation lacking clarity, when information is incomplete or contradictory, or the accuracy of available information is questionable. Scientists are publishing research on COVID-19, and policymakers are issuing guidelines based on their most current understanding of the disease. However, this rapidly expanding knowledge base is difficult to validate and even more difficult to interpret and apply to school context. And I think it's very true. So what are we going to do? Here is the SMART rule. S stands for safe. Keep safe, being careful not to give your personal information. Ano yung mga SMART rule, ma'am? Yung SMART rules na ito is the thing that we will be doing in this new normal. So we are having online class. We're having modular classes. So be safe, be smart. Safe, keep safe by being careful not to give your personal information, including full name, email address to people who you don't trust online. Para hindi kayo mabugos. Meeting up with someone have only been in touch with online can be dangerous. O huwag mag-eyeball ha, kasi MECQ tayo. Only do so with your parents or other carers or guardians' permission, and even then, only when they will be present. Huwag mag-eyeball pag walang parents. You have to teach that one to your children, to your students, to your pupil. Accepting emails, IM, messages, or opening files from people you don't know can be dangerous. I think you've experienced na may nagpadala sa inyo na kayo po ay nanalo o kayo po ay bibiyayaan kasi wala silang relatives to receive their wealth. So scam po yan, di ba? Reliable. Someone online may be lying about who they are, information, and you find on the internet may not be true. Check information and advice on other websites, in books, or ask permission who may know. So this is true sometimes even when you look at people like us, no, as teachers in tertiary level, we're not going to publish our work in a bogus journal. No, in predatory, of course, it's very difficult also to determine if it's predatory or not, but this is just the same. So be smart, reliable, so open, meet people when you know them. Do not believe on their information if you don't have a confirmation or a validation. Then the last is tell. T. Tell your parents, your guardian, or teacher if someone or something makes you feel uncomfortable or worried, or you or someone you know is being cyberbullied. So these things are very important. As teacher, we need to tell our children to do the smart rules. Okay, so let's not leave the child's future, our future, to change, to chance. Sorry po. Let's not leave the child's future, our future, to chance. So before ending my presentation, I would like to share this words from President Obama in 2013. Educating our children from the youngest age, helping families afford college, making sure that hard work pays. These are things that should not be partisan. They should not be controversial. We need to make them happen. Maraming salamat po. This is Dr. Helen B. Boholano. Would like to say good day, everyone, and have a blessed day to all of us.